Okay, let's take a look at hormones. Okay, hormones. We have endocrine system. Endocrine system basically produces a certain chemical called hormones. So what are the terms and definitions? The terms and definitions for hormones is a chemical substance produced by endocrine glands, carried by blood, alters the activity of one or more target organs. So it could be 2, could be 3, could be 4. Any amount of target organs is possible, because as long as the target organ has receptors for the hormones, then it will be able to react to the hormones. Okay. Then the hormones is destroyed in the liver and excreted by the kidney. Okay. Communication between the cells do not involve nervous system only. Cells in our body can communicate through endocrine system as well. So that means, say you want to, the cells in your finger want to tell the cells in your leg there's something wrong. Okay, the cells can actually send messages to the brain. The brain then send messages, either send messages through nervous system, or it can send messages through hormones and tell the leg something is wrong. Okay, so hormones is a type of messenger. That means a type of communication, types of communication between the cells. Like, for example, the types of communication between humans are, as in, what are the type of communication between humans? Talking. Yeah, talking. You can talk, you can actually talk through what type of means? You can talk through computer, email, SMS, you can talk through phone, you can talk through in-person talking. So these are the way to relay messages. These are the way to basically tell something is wrong, or some information that you want to tell from one person, or in this case from one cell to another cell. Okay, Ken? The endocrine system is the last system in the human body to be discovered by scientists. Do you know why? Not sure. Okay, the systems are discovered like this. Like, say for example, you have what type of systems? Circulatory system, like for example your heart, right? So whenever your heart, or you have heart attack, your heart is pain, you will know that, or you go and see doctor. Oh, doctor, my heart, there's a angina, or my heart pains, or something like that. Then the doctor will quickly be able to identify maybe that area got problem, right? Okay, but endocrine gland is, the anatomy is slightly different. It is like the pancreas in your abdomen is the source, and then it will send stuff to the liver. So which is somewhat a distant from the original source. So when your liver has problem, when your liver is pain or something, when the doctor look into it, they may not be able to find the source as quickly as when they find the source for the heart pain. You understand what I mean? Okay, so that's why it's much more difficult to discover, because the source is somewhat further away. Like for example, the A to B. Okay, if B pain or B got problem, you cannot quickly find the source, which is the A. Okay, B got problem is not because of B, it's actually because of A, because A never give B a certain hormone, then B cannot function. You understand what I mean? So when B doesn't function, or B is painful or whatever, you cannot quickly identify it. So that's why it's very hard to discover, and is actually the last system in the human body to be discovered. Okay. The endocrine system is made up of a collection of endocrine glands which secretes hormones directly into the circulatory system to be carried towards one or multiple distant target organ. So this one, I want you to turn to the second page. And it's still the same page, but it's the second one, your right hand side. Okay, which is this one. You can see the endocrine gland, you can see the blood capillaries, you can see the endocrine cells, right? Can? This one. Yeah, correct. So basically, the endocrine gland is made up of the cells. These are the cells. Those are the cells. Okay? These are the cells that make up the endocrine gland. Okay? When they produce hormone, they will secrete it straight away into the blood because the blood vessels, the capillaries, runs through the endocrine gland. So whatever that the cells produce, it will diffuse straight into the blood. Okay, so this is what we call hormone production, which is secreted straight into the blood. Okay, the hormone which is produced by the cells will diffuse straight into the blood, and the blood will carry it from organ A to organ B, or organ C, or organ D. So the blood is like the transport system. Okay, just like the phone is the transport system of our messages, of our talking, or something like that. Okay. Okay, let's go back to number 5. Hormones are made in special glands called the endocrine glands and act like chemical messenger which regulate the metabolic function of other cells. So later you will understand more as I explain. Hormones are either made up of amino acids or derivative of cholesterol, also known as steroids. Okay, so you have heard from social media or maybe from movies or something. You know what are steroids? What are steroids? I don't know. Give you an example. If a man want to buff up, so they can actually consume steroids and they will buff up quickly. Buff up here means they want to produce muscle. They want to become more muscular and like, wow, the Mr. Universe like that. Okay? So you can actually take steroids. So steroids is a form of cholesterol-based hormone. In this case, is testosterone, because testosterone is the one that allow the bodybuilding function of the body. So derivative of cholesterol. So we have a lot of different type of hormones. Some hormones are made out of amino acids. Some are made out of derivative of cholesterol. So this derivative of cholesterol example that you will encounter will be estrogen, progesterone, and also testosterone. Okay, have you heard of these hormones before? Somewhat heard before, right? In lower sec, when you learn about reproductive system, you will have heard that the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, and the testes produce testosterone. So these are the examples of hormones that are derivative of cholesterol. Any other hormones like insulin and glucagon, they are made up of amino acids. So which is somewhat different because amino acid is protein-based, cholesterol is fat-based. Okay, so that's why it's somewhat quite different from each other. Okay, so it's made of two categories, which is one is protein, one is fat. Okay, so they are also chemical messenger, so that's why we call them hormones. Okay, the hypothalamus lies underneath the front part of the cerebrum and it controls the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland is actually the master gland of all the endocrine gland that you're going to find. So just heads up for you guys, you can turn to number 17. You can turn to the page that contains number 17. Okay, 17 here you see these are the endocrine glands found in our body. We have thyroid gland, we have adrenal gland, we have pancreas, and then we have testes and ovaries. So these are the endocrine gland of our bodies. And all these endocrine gland, right, are controlled directly by pituitary gland. That means they listen to the order from the pituitary gland. So the pituitary gland will secrete a certain hormone, and this hormone will ask the thyroid gland to do something. It will also secrete a type of hormone and ask adrenal gland to do something. It will also secrete a certain hormone to ask the testes and ovaries to secrete something. Okay, so in other words, pituitary gland is like the boss of the endocrine gland. Okay, we don't call it boss lah, we call it master gland. Okay, the pituitary gland is the master gland of the endocrine system. So the pituitary gland also has a boss, which is the boss. So the pituitary gland's boss is the hypothalamus, which the hypothalamus and pituitary gland is situated near the same area, which is the middle part of the brain. So if you look at the head, right? You'll notice that this is the head over here. This is the head. You can see what I draw. This is the head. So it's somewhat in the middle like this. So this is the brain. So the hypothalamus and pituitary gland is in the middle of the head like that. Okay? Okay? Just in case you didn't see, let me show you. Yeah, this is the head. This is the head. The middle part of the head is here. So this is your brain. Okay. So the middle part of the head is over here, right in the middle. Okay, is your pituitary gland and hypothalamus, somewhere in the same area. Okay. So just imagine they are very, very important. That's why they are well guarded. They are situated in the best region of the head, so that if there's any accident, right, it will be the last region to be damaged, because it's very, very important. We cannot afford to have it damaged. Okay. So let's take a look at one of the examples. Let's go back to number 8. Number 8, here you can see we have integrating center, the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus will secrete a type of hormone. This hormone will ask the pituitary gland to secrete another type of hormone. Okay, and this hormone will then ask the endocrine gland to secrete their respective hormone. So in this case, hypothalamus secrete thyrotrophin releasing hormone. This thyrotrophin releasing hormone will activate pituitary gland to secrete thyroid stimulating hormone. The thyroid stimulating hormone will then activate the thyroid gland to secrete T3 and T4, which is also known as the thyroid hormone. Okay, so this is just for your information. You don't have to memorize this, okay, because thyroid hormones is not in your syllabus. Okay, another example that I can give you will be hypothalamus secrete a type of hormone that asks pituitary gland to secrete follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, follicle stimulating hormone FSH will then ask the ovaries and testes to secrete their hormones. They will ask testes to secrete testosterone, and you ask ovaries to secrete estrogen. Okay, this is another example. So there are 3 layers in this case. So you can see the boss of the endocrine gland, and then the boss of the boss of the master gland. Okay, can? So these are the 3 layers. Okay, this is just for your information. So quiz number 1, you can try later. And then let's take a look at number 9. Endocrine glands are ductless, where hormones produced are directly secreted into the blood. So you might not be able to understand what ductless means. In order to understand what is ductless, you must first understand what is a duct. A duct is like this. Wait, let me draw. You can come over here and see what I drew. So say we have a gland like this. This is a exocrine gland. Exocrine gland tends to have a duct, which is like a tube like this. Okay, so it will secrete its content into the duct, and then the content will then flow out of the duct and into the outer region of the body. One example is sweat gland. The sweat gland will secrete sweat, and sweat will enter the sweat duct, and then it will come out of the sweat pore and into the outer part of your skin. Okay, so this is what we call duct. Okay, but this one don't have duct, so we call it ductless. Okay, can? Yeah, you can go back. Okay, so this is what it meant by ductless lah. So the endocrine glands are ductless, where hormones produced are directly secreted into the blood. They have blood capillaries running right through them. So this, as I already mentioned earlier, they secrete hormone, and the hormone will diffuse into the blood capillaries and into the blood, and the blood will carry it to the target organ. Okay, let's take a look at number 10. When endocrine gland produce a hormone, it is released directly into the blood. Once the hormone is in the blood, it is carried to all parts of the body, dissolved in plasma. Generally, one hormone can affect a certain type of organ, a certain number of organs. So it could be 1 organ, could be 2 organs, could be 3 organs, and so on. Cells from this organ possess a unique receptor which can bind specifically to this hormone. So in case you cannot imagine what they are, it means, say this is your blood capillaries. Maybe you come over and see, because sometimes I will bring the chair here. So this is the capillaries. So say organ A secrete hormones. It secrete hormones into the blood. So it will be like this. It will flow. So flow until maybe there is organ B. The organ B have certain cells. So these are the cells of organ B. Okay? Cells of organ B has a certain receptor that look like this, like antenna like that. Okay? These are the receptor. Okay? This receptor will be able to bind to this hormone secreted by organ A. So the hormone will flow and bind to the receptor like this. This is the receptor, right? The hormone will bind to it like this. Okay, and the shape is of course complementary lah. Okay, I only draw a circular shape in this scenario, but there are many other shapes. So there are many hormones that have its own receptor. Okay, so in this case, A send out hormone A lah, say A send out hormone A, and then organ B, which has the respective receptor, will be able to bind to hormone A. And then once hormone A slot into the receptor, it will activate a certain reaction in organ B. Okay? Then we have, say I have another organ over here, organ C lah. Organ C don't have the receptor. So organ C, even the hormone were to pass through organ C, it doesn't have any effect on organ C. Okay, because it doesn't have the right receptor. So it doesn't create the same effect that it has in organ B in C. So C will not have the same effect as B because it doesn't have the receptor. Okay, then if this hormone is supposed to also activate another organ, say there's another organ D, so it's supposed to activate organ D, then the organ D will have the right receptor. Okay, can? So that's why hormone is so what we call unique. Okay, it's so special, and it can give order to organ B and D, but it doesn't give the same order to organ C. That's why it's so unique. Okay, because of the receptors. Okay, sometimes you wonder, all the organs also receive blood, right? All the organs also receive blood. How come all this organ never react? That organ will react. Now you know it's because of the receptor. Okay, can? So where are we? Okay, generally one hormone can affect not just one, but two, but three, and so on. Okay, but some hormone will only affect one organ, like for example, the follicle stimulating hormone can only affect the testes, can only affect the ovaries. There's only one organ. Okay, so only that organ, only that ovaries and testes have the right receptor for it. Okay. So once the hormone is bound to the receptor, a series of reactions will occur which will result in the change of the activities of the cell. Okay, the liver continuously break down the hormone. So you can imagine, so when the hormone passes by, so say this A will secrete, say A secrete 50 grams of hormone A. So when it pass, see whether it passed through organ B first or passed through the liver first lah. If it passed through the organ B first, then some of the hormone will bind to B, then it may be left with 45 grams. Okay, then by the time it reach the liver, which is this one, the liver will remove some of it. So from 50, it will become 45. And then when it passes by liver will destroy some of the hormone. So you are left with 30 grams. Then it will pass by the kidney. Then kidney will excrete some of it. So you are left with 25 grams, for example. And then this is the first circulation. Then when it go through the circulation again, so the circulation, they continue on, right? In one circle, right? Correct? So it pass by this again, and then you continue to be broken down and used up and destroyed and so on until none of it left. Okay? If it is still needed, then organ A will produce a new batch of hormones. Okay? Then this batch of hormones will then be able to pass through B and D again and have its effect before it is being destroyed in the liver and excreted by the kidney until it becomes zero. Okay, so this system continuously happen in our body. So it will basically depends on whether the hormone is needed for a long period of time or a short period of time, or maybe I give you an example. the hormone estrogen. When we are still very young, when we haven't reached our puberty yet, okay, ovaries doesn't produce estrogen. So in that case, there will be no estrogen at all in the capillaries and in the blood. None of it, like this, don't have. So when you reach puberty, then estrogen will come in certain quantity like this. And because estrogen is continuously needed, so for the next few, not next few years, for the next 10 to 30 to 40 years until you reach the age of 50, 55, okay? This hormone will be secreted continuously in your blood, okay? So it will continue to secrete, say, 50 grams, and then some of it will be destroyed, and then some of it will be excreted, and then the same, your ovaries will continue to secrete estrogen again. So your blood will, if I were to take my blood now, there will be some trace amount of estrogen, okay? But by the time I hit menopause, that means the age where I'm very old already, around 50 something, my so-called ovaries stop producing estrogen. So my ovaries stop producing estrogen, there will be no more estrogen in the blood. Okay, at first there's still some lah. Then the so-called some estrogen will be destroyed by the liver and excreted by the kidney until none of them left. And because there's no new batch of estrogen being produced, eventually everything will run out and it becomes zero. So if I were to take the blood of an old woman, maybe at 60 years old, then when I test, I will notice that there is no estrogen at all. No estrogen, no progesterone. Okay, so this is what it meant. So we have the place that it will be produced, the source, and it will also be destroyed. That is why we won't have hormones. You keep on producing 50, 50, 50, then your blood will be full of hormone because none of them is being removed. Okay, so yeah, that is the case with our hormones. Sophia and Joel, do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's continue. Hence, the effect of a hormone is needed. If the effect of a hormone is needed for a long duration, it will be continuously secreted to account for the unselective breakdown and excretion by the liver and kidney, respectively. So, other types of gland do not do this. The salivary gland, for example, do not secrete saliva into the blood. Okay, the saliva is secreted into a salivary duct, just like the sweat just now lah. We have salivary gland. Salivary gland is connected to a duct. Okay, and then the duct will open out into the region called your mouth cavity. Okay, the hole in your mouth. Okay, so the salivary gland will produce saliva, and then the saliva will flow into the duct and then come out into your mouth. Okay, so other type of gland do not do this. The salivary gland, for example, do not secrete saliva into the blood. Saliva is secreted into the salivary duct, which is carried into the mouth. Glands that secrete substance into ducts are called exocrine gland. Okay, here you can see exocrine. They are different only by a few words. Exocrine gland, exocrine system, endocrine system. Endo means inside. So that means it secretes something into your system, into your blood. Exocrine means outside. That means it's going to secrete something towards the outside of your body, like your mouth, your skin, your stomach, all this. Okay? So let's take a look at the difference between them. Endocrine system secrete hormones. Exocrine system secrete enzymes. Endocrine system have glands which are ductless. Exocrine system have glands with ducts. Endocrine system secretes substance into the blood, while this one secretes into duct. Okay, and then the endocrine system's target organ could be very far away, while the target organ is normally in vicinity, which is very near the original gland. Okay, that is, the target will be the mouth lah, or the target will be the skin, which is very near to the sweat gland. Okay, example, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, and so on. Exocrine system, we have salivary gland, gastric glands, sweat glands, and all this. Gastric glands are glands that are found in your stomach. Okay, so it will secrete acid or secrete protease into your stomach. Okay, can? The stomach is also considered outside lah. Okay, why? Because if you were to eat something, it will pass through your stomach, and then it will pass into the colon and everything without actually entering your blood. So the mouth, the stomach, cavity, all this is considered outside. It's still considered outside of your body. Because if you were to inhale some air, your stomach can be bloated. Your stomach can have air in it. So it's considered outside, just like your skin is exposed to the air like that. Just consider outside. Okay? Okay, let's take a look at. Okay, 17 I already mentioned. Oh, this one is to show you the adrenal gland lah. Adrenal gland is above the kidney. Okay, it's above the kidney. It's a small patch above the kidney, the adrenal gland. Okay, adrenal gland. Okay, then we have hormones. Okay, we will take a look at hormones, insulin and glucagon. Okay, then blood glucose concentration in humans is maintained within a very narrow range, around 4.4 to 6.1 millimole per liter, or also around 79.2 to 110 mg per 100 cm cube of blood. Okay, so in order to maintain the blood glucose concentration, we need insulin and glucagon to help us. Because say this is the actual range to maintain. Say this is 100 lah. This is 100. 100 mg per 100 cm cube. So if your blood glucose level goes up higher than 100, okay, this is not normal. This is not normal. So you will need insulin to bring it back down to normal, around the normal range like this. Okay, sometimes when you're not eating, suddenly your blood glucose level will go below normal. Okay? Not suddenly, that's because you never eat. Okay? When blood glucose level becomes lower than normal, our body will secrete glucagon to bring it back up like this. So it is maintained within a narrow range like this. Okay? Because if the blood glucose level is too high, it's not good to our body. Okay? Our body becomes insensitive. Okay? Insensitive to a lot of signals. If the blood glucose level goes below normal, you will experience giddiness because your brain needs a certain amount of supply of glucose. So if the blood glucose level, that means the glucose concentration inside the blood is too low, it will supply very little glucose to the brain. Then the brain will be like, hey, I don't have enough food. Then the brain also become haywire already. Then you will feel greedy, you feel like you want to faint, or some people who faint in the MRT or something, that's because their blood glucose level is lower than normal, and then their brain cannot take it, then the brain will just turn off. When brain turn off, you will faint. Okay, so let's take a look at insulin and glucagon in detail. Okay, so when is insulin secreted? It is secreted when the blood glucose level rise above normal. Okay, this happens normally when after a meal of rice or bread, or after a hearty meal of anything lah, any meal that contain carbohydrate. Okay, the glucose, the carbohydrate will be digested in the mouth and also the small intestine, and then your small intestine will absorb the carbohydrate as glucose. Then the glucose will then enter your blood. Then your blood glucose level will now rise because you just had food. Okay, so when blood glucose level rise above normal, the islets of Langerhans will be able to sense it, and then the beta cells will secrete insulin. Sorry. The beta cells will secrete insulin, and this insulin will then travel, it will secrete insulin into the blood. Okay, so when it secrete into the blood will carry the insulin to the liver and muscles. Okay, then when the liver and muscles receptor bound to the insulin, it will activate the liver and muscles to take up more glucose and convert the glucose to glycogen. These are the two effects. Effect number one, to take up more glucose. Effect number two, convert glucose to glycogen and store inside the liver and muscles. Okay? Okay? So lack of insulin will cause diabetes mellitus, which is a type of sickness. Okay? A type of illness. As the sugar concentration become very high. Okay? Patients will suffer from lack of energy due to poor uptake of glucose by the cells, have high sugar concentration in their urine, find it difficult for the wound to heal, are more at risk of infection and blindness. Okay, this one I will tell you more about it later in the next page when we deal with diabetes alone. Okay, patients are required to administer suitable dose or the treatment. I will tell you more about it. Okay, so next, when blood glucose level drop below normal, okay, the islets of Langerhans will sense it and the alpha cells will secrete glucagon. Okay, glucagon, which is secreted into the blood, it will then travel and reach the liver and also the muscles, not just the liver but also the muscles. And the liver and muscles will convert glycogen to glucose. It will also convert fats into glucose. And if all the glycogen and fats has run out, then it will convert amino acid to glucose. And if there is lactic acid around, it will also convert lactic acid into glucose. So basically, the main aim of glucagon is to convert everything to glucose. Okay? Not everything lah, the one that is selected. Okay? It converts it to glucose so that it will quickly raise the blood glucose level. It will raise the glucose level in the blood so that the brain doesn't get lack of glucose and then you start to faint or do all sorts of funny stuff. Okay? So this is glucagon. Okay, as I promised earlier, let's take a look at diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus is a type of metabolic disease in which there are high blood glucose level over a prolonged period. Okay, there are two types of diabetes mellitus, type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Okay, Type 1 diabetes happens quite early on. It's around, maybe the person is in their childhood, or maybe in their teens, or maybe in their 20s, 30s. Okay, why? Because type 2 diabetes doesn't occur that quickly. Okay, type 2 diabetes is a form of it's like the cells, the liver and muscle cells get sick of insulin. Okay, insulin is still produced, but it gets sick of insulin. In order to get sick of insulin, you must first get exposed to insulin for many years first. So type 2 diabetes is late onset. It occurs later on, maybe around the 40s, 50s. So anything that is not around 40s, 50, which is around very early age, that will be type 1 diabetes. Okay, so type 1 diabetes is due to lack of insulin. That means the person's pancreas don't produce insulin at all. Either the person have maybe through accident their pancreas has been removed, or maybe through a certain illness, the phagocyte is going to attack all the cells of the pancreas, and then the alpha cells and beta cells die. No more alpha cells and beta cells to secrete insulin and glucagon now, in this case. So in type 1 diabetes, there is totally no insulin at all. Type 2 diabetes, there will still be insulin, but the so-called insulin will not have the same effect as normal person. Some sort of like the liver and muscle cells resist the insulin. Like for example, normally when insulin come to the liver and muscle cells, it will ask the liver and muscle cells to take up the glucose and also convert glucose to glycogen, right? So this is the effect, right? But insulin is still produced, but by the time it reach the liver and muscle cells, the liver and muscle cells don't work that way anymore. It just doesn't do the job. It doesn't take up glucose. It doesn't convert glucose to glycogen. It just stay resistance. We call it resist. It has no effect anymore. Okay. So type 1 diabetes is because there's no insulin at all. Type 2 diabetes is insulin is still produced. Okay, but the insulin sensitivity is reduced. The reduced insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance in the target cell. The target cell do not respond well to insulin despite normal secretion of level of insulin. Okay. So type 1 diabetes is normally due to genetics lah. Okay, maybe you inherit a type of gene from your parents, one maybe from your mom or from your dad, and the gene is, the hormone produced is damaged, mutated. So the hormones, so there will be a lack of insulin. It's as if the insulin is not there. Okay. The cause of type 2 diabetes is because of lifestyle. Okay. More likely developed in obese people with BMI more than 30. Okay. So basically, you can think of it that way. You can think of it this way. People who are obese tend to eat a lot. So when they eat a lot, the amount of glucose that they take in is a lot. So the liver and the muscle cells are continuously bombarded with insulin. So as compared to a normal person, the liver and muscle cells of the obese person is exposed to maybe 50 grams of insulin every day. But a normal person who eat very little only exposed to 25 grams every day. because by the time it reached 25 gram, all the glucose has gone down already. There's no need for so much insulin. So over the years, the liver and muscle cells has been exposing to a lot of insulin. So eventually they become resistant. They become sick of insulin. Sick of insulin. Like for example, at first when the environment is quiet, one sound you will be like, ooh, you respond to it, right? So but if there's someone who keep on nagging, then you'll be resistance to the sound already. After some time, you just ignore the sound. Something like that. Like your parents, so you ignore their nagging, is it? Okay, something like that lah. So type 1 diabetes is like no insulin at all. Type 2 diabetes is you resist the insulin. Okay, so the symptoms of diabetes mellitus is constant high blood glucose level. So the blood glucose level is constantly very high. So because insulin is not there to bring it down, so it will always be very high. So after a meal, it will go up even higher and come down very slowly. Okay? So because there's high blood glucose level, the kidney cannot reabsorb so much glucose. So some of the glucose is being excreted in the urine. So that's why there's presence of glucose in the urine. Okay, so the two most popular symptom is these two lah. The first bullet point and the second bullet point. Normally, I've seen a lot of questions in the exam paper. They will only ask for two symptoms lah. So I advise you to memorize these two symptoms. Okay, if you forget, then you can say frequent urination, slow healing of wound. But the most standard answer is always these two. The standard first two answer is always these two. So you memorize these two, then it'll be good. Very good enough. Constant high blood glucose level and presence of glucose in the urine. Okay? People who are diabetic, when they go pee, if they never flush, the ants will come. Yeah, seriously. I have my colleague's roommate is diabetic. He didn't know about it. So every time he go to the toilet and never flush, the ants will come. So my colleague was wondering, who is diabetic? Why? He thought it's him, because they share a room. They thought he never suspect it's the other person. Then after some time, when the roommate go back to his hometown or something, then he noticed that there's no more ants in the toilet bowl. Then he know, oh, this roommate is diabetic. Then he called the roommate up. You better go and check with doctor. You might be diabetic. Yeah. So the ants will really come. Okay. So that is because presence of glucose in the urine. Okay, slow healings of wounds, frequent urination, increased thirst, increased hunger, lack of energy. These are all other symptoms. Okay. The causes of all these symptoms is because the inability of the cells to remove excess glucose from the blood due to insulin deficiency or resistance. Okay. So this presence of glucose in the urine I already explained because when there is a lot of glucose in the blood, okay, there will be a lot of glucose that pass into the kidney tubule, and then active transport can only reabsorb a small amount of glucose. Okay, in this case, it's normally the normal amount of glucose that is around, say the normal amount of glucose in your blood is around 100. So it will be able to absorb if it's 120 mg. But a person who are diabetic is normally around 130 mg. So the maximum capacity of reabsorption of glucose is 120. So there will be leftover of 10 mg that is being excreted into the urine. Okay? It's not because of our kidney got problem. It's because there's too many glucose to start off with. So if you're diabetic, there's no problem. If you're diabetic and you sense there is glucose in your urine, it's not because your kidney got problem. Your kidney still function well. Okay, it's because of large amount of glucose in the blood in the first place. Slow healing of wounds. Slow healing of wounds is because when there is high blood glucose level, the arteries will stiffen, the blood vessels will narrow, and it leads to poor circulation. Okay, so it also affects innervation. Innervation means the nerve system. So the nerve system is not as sensitive as before. So in this case, you will lose sensation. So in if the wounds happen in your toe, your body will be unable to sense because the nerve is not there. They will be unable to sense that there is wound over there. If it's unable to sense there's wound over there, it will not send help. It will not send platelets to go and clog the wound. It will not send white blood cell to go and remove the pathogens and all this. So there's no help being sent because the body, the toe is not sensitive anymore. So that's why people who are diabetic, when they stub their toe and they have wound, the doctor will ask them to cut off the toe. And then by the time the wound never heal, cut off the ankle. Then after that, cut. Normally they will cut until the knee, okay? Because the knee, by the time you cut until the knee, the nerve is quite near the so-called nerve from the knee to the spinal cord is quite near already, so they can sense and then they can heal. Okay, you don't have to cut all the way to the thigh. Okay, but still, diabetic is not a good illness to have. Okay, it will severely affect your quality of life. So it is. So I'll give you an advice not to be obese because people with obesity tend to develop diabetes, and don't take so much sweets and sweet drinks and all this. Okay, try and make sure you are not diabetic, or by the time you're 40s or so, try not to be diabetic or something. Try to stay away from this illness because if you were to be diagnosed with diabetes, you will have a severely reduced quality of life. Okay, like say for example, if you stub your toe and then you need to cut off your knee and everything, so you have you become immobile already. Then your quality of life will be like, oh, I cannot go anywhere. Everywhere I need to sit wheelchair and everything. Is so inconvenient. And not just that, a person with diabetes will likely go blind also. So just imagine if you go blind, it's even more inconvenient. Okay, so that is for insulin and glucagon. Okay, for adrenaline is only for pure student. Sophia and Joel, you are both pure, right? Asdin, you're pure? Okay, so we will continue with adrenaline also. Adrenaline is secreted by the medulla of the adrenal gland, which is located at the top of each kidney. When the hypothalamus senses the need for fight and flight response, that means when you are stressful, when the hypothalamus senses that you are stressful, okay, two pathways are activated. In this case, there's a stimulus, so the hypothalamus will activate pathway 1 and pathway 2. Pathway 1 is via the nervous system. Okay, the nervous system will quickly ask the adrenal gland to secrete hormone. Another pathway will be through pituitary gland. The pituitary gland will also secrete hormone, and the hormone will ask the adrenal gland to secrete hormone. Okay, so adrenal gland will secrete what hormone? It will secrete adrenaline. Okay, adrenaline. So it's secreted. When it's secreted in small amount at all time, and in large quantity and large amount when frightened or stressed. Okay. Okay, it is controlled by hormone release from pituitary gland, and the gland that secretes adrenaline is known as the adrenal gland. So what are the effects of adrenaline? So since adrenaline is a stress hormone, so this stress hormone will enhance our ability to fight the danger or enhance our ability to run away from the danger. But this adrenaline, although it enhances our ability, doesn't mean it's good. Okay, it enhances our ability, but it also has some side effect. So the side effect is detrimental. So it's not advisable to continuously activate the adrenaline. Because although you think that, oh, adrenaline enhance our body, oh, enhance our body ability, then I must secrete a lot of adrenaline, I inject adrenaline into myself and make myself superhuman. Not really. Okay? Adrenaline enhance our body function for a certain period of time, but it also brings damages to us. But this so-called enhancing is important because we need it to run away from danger, or else we'll die. Because when we die, when we face danger and we die, that's the end of the story already. So we'll enhance the body a little bit and damage the body a bit for that, to escape from danger, to run away or fight the danger, something like that. Okay, that is the caveman period lah, caveman period. But nowadays, our stressful situation normally doesn't involve facing the tiger or run away from the bear or something. Our danger will probably be like exam, or maybe your mom scold, your dad run and want to beat you or something. Or maybe you're chased by a dog, or maybe you watch horror movie and you get afraid and something like that. Okay, so these are some of the stressful situations that we will face. So when you are faced with such stressful situation and your body secrete adrenaline, what will happen to your body? These are the effect. Here you can see here, we have the liver. Liver will start to convert glycogen to glucose. This is to prepare, because our body require a lot of glucose during, when you want to fight the tiger, you need large amount of strength to fight it. Okay, so you need a lot of glucose so that the glucose will be respired. When you do respiration, it will release large amount of energy. So you need glucose. So the liver will do the conversion first in anticipation of you needing glucose. The heart will beat faster so that it will send oxygen to the muscles more quickly. Breathing will become deeper and more frequent so that you can get more oxygen. Blood vessels will constrict. Here you have to understand that when we fight danger or run away from danger, sometimes we get hurt. So our blood vessels must constrict. Do you know what's constrict? Constrict is opposed to dilate. When it constrict, when the blood vessels dilate is so big, like this, so big. When it constrict, the blood vessels become smaller like this. So in other words, when blood vessel constrict, small amount of blood will pass through our blood vessels. And most of the blood vessels are found underneath the skin. So if there are small amount of blood pass underneath the skin, if there's any injury, we only lose small amount of blood. Okay, we don't want large amount of blood to be lost because we want to conserve blood now. Because we know that you are fighting danger, you are running away from danger, very likely you will get injured. Of course, that's for the caveman period when we are fighting the tiger and run away from the bear that time. Nowadays, nowadays facing stressful situation like exam probably doesn't need this, but still our body will react the same way because it's a string of reaction to prepare our body. Okay, so the blood vessels will constrict. This is to channel blood to the skeletal muscle, and you notice paleness in the skin. Okay, cold palms, loss of appetite. Okay, and also this is to prevent blood from being lost if there's any injury. The pupil will dilate. Okay, when pupil dilates, large amount of light will enter. Okay, this enhance our vision. Or else when the pupil is constricted, only small amount of light will enter, then we cannot see the tiger properly, then we cannot see the path properly, then we cannot run away properly. Okay, so the pupil will dilate so that more light will enter, and then we can enhance our vision, and then we can fight the danger better or run away from the danger better. Okay, speed up blood coagulation. This is just in case of injury. Then you will basically the blood will clot faster lah. Contraction of hair erector muscle. Okay, this is for small mammals. Small mammals like mouse, when they are afraid of facing danger, they will contract their hair erector muscle. That's because of the effect of adrenaline. Why? When you contract the hair erector muscle, the hair will stand. And this will make the mouse appear larger. So when the cat try to hunt the mouse at that, suddenly fluff up. So it will get afraid, get scared, and then the rat will take the chance to run away. Something like that. Okay? So this will give the impression of larger size for furry animals. Okay? So nowadays, we still have the same effect as the small furry mammals. So when we are stressful, when we are watching horror movies, you'll notice that we have goosebumps. That's because of the effects of the adrenaline. Okay? Okay? Yeah. So that's all for this one. Is number 28 is for your information. Okay? And then that is it. Yeah. One last part, 29. Comparison of nervous system and endocrine system. So nervous system is made of neurons. Endocrine system is made of secretory cells. Okay. The nature of the signal. The nervous system's nature of signals is via electrical. That's the nerve impulse. Also chemical also, which is the neurotransmitter. Endocrine system is via chemicals only. That's the messenger called the hormones. The medium of transmission for nervous system is along the nerves fiber. Endocrine system is along the blood. Response for nervous system is very quick. Okay, endocrine will be more slowly because it relies on the blood to carry the message to the organ. So it takes time for the blood to flow. Okay, but messages in the nervous system is very quick. It's within a second or millisecond. Okay, endocrine system, the message is like maybe 5 minutes, 15 minutes. It's much more slowly. Response duration. Nervous system's response duration is very short. Endocrine system, the effect will be longer or long term. Like for example, nervous system, you ask your hand to move up. When you don't ask it to move up, it will stop, right? That means it's within a few seconds. So it start and stop. That's the duration, maybe a few seconds. Endocrine system, from the moment your body secrete growth hormone, it will ask your body to continue to grow for a few months, up to a few years. You know, puberty, the moment you hit puberty, you'll continue to grow for a few years. Okay, so the effect is longer for endocrine system. The effect of duration is shorter for nervous system. Okay, The control for nervous system is voluntary or involuntary. That means voluntary here means you can control. You can ask the hand to move left, move right. You can control. You can control the movement according to your wish. Okay. Nervous system is also involuntary, like for example, reflex. Okay. For example, someone pinch you, then you will be like, move away. That's involuntary. Okay. Endocrine system is always involuntary. You cannot like ask, hey, body, secrete more growth hormone because I want to grow taller. Cannot. Okay. It occurs naturally. It's involuntary. You cannot like secrete more, I want more, cannot. Okay. It doesn't listen to you. Okay. Nervous system, target organ is normally localized, only one small area. Endocrine system, it can target one or more target organs. That means it can target multiple organs. Like for example, the adrenaline just now, it can target a lot of organs, right? So many organs. Just one hormone, target 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Can? Yeah. So that's all for hormones. That's all for hormones.